I call to this hearing of the U.S. Senate Subcommittee on Food and Nutrition, Specialty Crops, Organics, and Research to order. Chairwoman Stabenow.
Good morning, or afternoon.
And Ranking Member Boozman, thank you so much for coming. I thank you for your leadership on this committee, and I look forward to working with you to pass a farm bill. A farm bill that works for small farmers, rural communities, and hungry Americans. I would also like to thank my ranking member, Senator Braun. And I look forward to working closely with you. SNAP is one of the most effective programs to fight hunger and poverty in the country. In my time and effort in IFAS, as the mayor of Braddock to lieutenant governor to now, I have heard from Pennsylvanians about their support for SNAP. Hunger is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. It's all of our issue that we have to take it on. We need to come together and stop playing political games with Americans' access to food. Americans like about Corey Jor from the town of Northeast in Pennsylvania tells me that his victim was skimming, which was when somebody stole money and he relied from its SNAP EBT. Mr. Jor is not the first Pennsylvanian I've heard this from. I fear he won't be the last. And I will work in this farm bill to modernize SNAP to work to recipients in the 21st century. I look forward to hearing from you, your witness on this nutrition assistance on the farm bill, and I will now turn to Senator Braun for any opening comments that he would like to make.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. And we will now move to introduce our witnesses. And I'm excited about the panel that we have us with us today. I'll introduce them all now. Mrs. Ty Jones-Cox is the Vice President of the Food Assistance Policy at the Senate for Budget and Policy Priorities. Welcome. Ms. Heather Reynolds is the Managing Director of the Lab for Economic Opportunities at Notre Dame. Welcome. And Mrs. Lori Jones-John, and the CEO of Philabunts, the largest food bank in Pennsylvania, and is also serves Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Hey? It's a great organization from a great state that I've heard of pretty well.
We certainly agree.
Mr. James Whitford of the Executive Directory of the Watered Gardens in Joplin, Missouri. Sir, I like that look. And finally, Mrs. Whitley Hastings, the outreach specialist, which the Hunger Feed America for Food Link in New York. And Mrs. Cox, you are now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank all of you. And now we will now begin the 5-minute rounds of questions for each member. And I will begin with my own now. Mrs. Cox, currently states allow SNAP mostly to do what they fit. And I'm concerned about proposals to limit this. My own state of Pennsylvania has the ability to seek waivers on work requirements and times, and depending on employment metrics. This also includes tools to ensure that low-wage working household avoiding a benefit cliff. Can you possibly explain the potential impact if these proposals would have on states? Well, thank you, Mrs. Cox. And I actually have one more kind of a brief, another question, please. Many SNAP households have had benefits stolen through skimming. Victims face the serious challenge of losing their purchase power. When debit cards are skimmed, they are protections for the cardholder. What needs can be done to ensure that families have that same kind of being protecting? Mrs. Jones-Brown. Food banks are really critical for the support foundation of SNAP. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
The Emergency Food Assistance Program, or TFAP, was established to provide emergency food assistance to low-income individuals. And these individuals may not qualify for SNAP, but they might need additional support. Food banks, like Philabundance and knowing personally the kind of quality of the work that you do in my own state, they distribute 85% of TFAP foods nationwide. As Americans struggle with high food costs, how have you been able to allow you to continue to provide food support?
Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you. And I apologize to my colleague for going over.
Thank you, Senator. And especially thank to every one of you, the witnesses today that came in to hear from you all today. So thank you. Protecting SNAP and preventing fraud isn't a Republican or Democratic issue, though. I think everyone agree on that. It's time for the USDA and state agencies updated their technology security to prevent fraud. I would hope we all agree. I intend to strengthen the USDA's tools to existing mandate to do so. The USDA is already making significant efforts to modernize SNAP and its nutritional assistance. One of these efforts are updating the Thrifty Food Plan, which we all have discussed today. This update is a modest investment with a significant impact for working Americans who need it. We have to work to protect SNAP for the 21st century, and I look forward to working with my colleagues to getting that done. I heard from one respondent's theme during this hearing that those who use SNAP do not want to use it forever. I have never met any American that hoping that they can stay on SNAP for their whole lives. Not at all. No one does. They only are on it because they need it. SNAP is a program that helps individuals like Ms. Hasty and the people like Mrs. Jones Brown and Ms. Reynolds to work with. It all helps Americans who fall on hard times. And I'll end with this. We need to pass a farm bill that works for everyday Americans. The record will remain for 5 more days. And now this hearing is adjourned.